Hello students, today I am going to start with class 9th English, and in my first video of class 9th, I am going to start with your main book Beehive, and we are going to take today our first chapter, that is The Fun They Had. This chapter, this story, beautiful story, is written by Isaac Asimov. And Isaac Asimov, he was a Russian and American writer. Why Russian and American? Because he was born in Russia, but afterwards he settled down in America. So that's why we say he was Russian American writer. And he was not only a writer, he was actually a professor of biochemistry. And that's why very beautifully he could write science fiction. Or we can say that through his writings only, through his books only, he made science, we can say, a very popular subject among students. Means he made science very easy to understand. So let's start with your first chapter, The Fun They Had. And when we come to the story, we can say this story is actually set in future. This story talks about future. Maybe these days this story is really, for you people, it is very easy to understand this story. Why? Because these days you are also getting your lessons, getting your classes or attending school actually online. And in this story also, when we are talking about future school, this school is not set in a building. This is also, we can say, online school. Maybe at that point when this story was written, it was just a fiction only. It was just an imagination only about future. But today we can say, yes, maybe we are living that future to some extent. Okay, so let's start this story. The story, I'm reading the intro first. The story we shall read is set in the future when books and schools as we now know them will perhaps not exist. This is what we are actually expecting for future, that maybe in future there will not be building schools. It will be totally online maybe classes. Okay, then how will children study then? If this is online classes, maybe now this question is no more a question, because we have already got answer, because we are already attending online classes. So let's see now this chapter. Maggie even wrote about it that night in her diary. Maggie is one of the characters, and she has this habit of writing diary. Okay, she does diary entry. And now this day, this Maggie is talking about, writing about one book, okay, in her diary. Maggie even wrote about it that night in her diary. On the page headed 17 May. Now you have to remember, underline this date and year. Okay, 17 May to 2157. Today this is 2021. But this chapter is talking about 2157. Okay, so she wrote. Now this is the day of future. Now we should, go in future only, and then just think about the time of your past. First of all, you have to take yourself to future. Okay, so on that particular day, year is 2157, and she has written this line. This is how she starts the diary entry. Today, Tommy found a real book. She's writing about that book. It was a very old book. Maggie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, he actually now, because Maggie is about the child of future, she is not, she has not ever attended any school, because she's attending only online classes. That's why when they found one book, okay, they were very surprised. Okay, it was a very old book. Maggie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. Today we can see everything on paper, but maybe future children would be just talking about it only. Okay, so this is what they had heard from their grandfather, that when he was a child, in those days, they used to have printed books. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly. Crinkly, we can say, which are, which become very old, and if you fold it, it can break from the foldings. This kind of pages now it had become, because it shows that the book was very, very old book. They turned the pages, which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen. Actually, these children, they were always having their books on screen. Okay, means maybe TV screen or their laptop screen or or their phone screen. Okay, whatever. They had their books on screen, and that's why they had never experienced that the words are stationary. But when they saw this book, they were surprised to see that the words were stationary. Naturally, this was not a screen. They were to just turn the pages only. And that's why, first of all, this was a surprise that the words were stationary. They were not moving the way they had always seen. And then, when they turned back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. And one more thing, which was more surprising for them, that if they wanted to turn back, if they wanted to read again the page, then if they turned back, the page was the same, the words were same, it was there only, because actually they had never experienced this thing, because on their screens it was very difficult to find the same word at the same place. And it was surprising thing for them to see that the things were really surprising in the book. Okay, said Tommy, what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away. Maybe this is what Tommy thought, that this is one drawback of the books. Okay, what is this drawback? You may get this question also. This is what he thought, first of all, that maybe this would be this used to be the drawback, that if you have read your book, then what would you do with the book? You are naturally, now the book is a waste and you will be throwing it. Because if this is the online classes, we can say on-screen words you have your e-books, naturally it is always there. You are not going to throw it. Okay, it is always there, even for the future reference. But books you cannot accumulate in your house. Okay, so that's why maybe this is what they thought, maybe was the one drawback, that if you have already done with the book, you have already read the book, maybe this is the waste. You have to throw it. Our television screen must have had 1 million books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. So this is what they compared, that books you will throw it away, and your screen books, your e-books will be there for you, okay, forever. I wouldn't throw it away. And this is what they were comparing here, that if this is e-book, they will not throw it. But if this is printed book, they will have to throw it, because they cannot collect all the books all the time. Same with mine, said Maggie. She was 11 and hadn't seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. Now underline this, the age also. Maggie is 11-year-old and Tommy is 13-year-old, because sometime you may get this question also. Okay, so now Maggie said, yes, even I also think so, that this is the drawback of these books. She said, where did you find it? And then she asked this question, but where did you find this book? In my house. He pointed without looking, because he was busy reading. In the attic. He said, I found it in my house, and it was in the attic only. Attic is, we can say, a place, we can say, under the roof, okay, where we keep all the things which are not used on everyday basis. So this is attic. What's it about? school. And then she said, okay, this book is about what? And he said, this book is talking about school. This book is about a school. Maggie was scornful. Now, Maggie did not like this because actually she did not like school, actually. So that's why when he said this book is about school, because though she was very enthusiastic to know more about the book, but when Tommy said this book is about the school, she was not that happy. Maggie was scornful. School? What's there to write about school? I hate school. She said, my God, this book is about school. What is so good about school? Why should one write about school? Actually, she herself hated school. Maggie always hated school because actually Maggie's school was not building school. Okay, it was school set in her own home in one separate room where all the computer screen and everything was kept, and there only she used to spend some hours, okay, to study. So this she maybe did not like. That's why she hated school. But now she hated it more than ever. She always hated school, but these days this hatred had grown. Okay, why there was more hatred now these days? The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, and she had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for county inspector. Actually, why she had started hating the school these days all the more? Because actually she was not doing very good in geography classes. Actually, geography teacher was giving her test and she was not doing that good in geography. Rather, she was going worse and worse only. And that's why one day her mother decided to call for county inspector. Now underline this character, county inspector. And who is county inspector? Actually, county inspector was the in charge of repairing any problem in the mechanical teacher. Okay, means if there is some problem in the mechanical teacher, means if there is some problem in the machine, in computer, in screen, whatever, then they would be calling county inspector only. So he was the in charge of all these things to repair. So that's why this mother now decided that county inspector should be called. He was a round little man. So here you can get more, this description of this county inspector also. You may get one question also. He was a round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with dials and wires. Naturally, he is the man to repair. So when he would come, he would be having all these things with him. He smiled at Maggie and gave her an apple. Then took the teacher apart. Teacher apart means that part which is meant for geography work only. He took that part apart. Maggie had hoped he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how all right. And after an hour or so, there it was. Actually, Maggie thought that maybe this man may not be able to repair it, okay, that early, and he would say, okay, I am taking this part with me. After a few days, I will return it. But no, it did not happen. Rather, in 1 hour only, then and there in that house only, he repaired this geography teacher part, okay, and then he was now there to rearrange it, okay, in that mechanical system. And after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black and ugly, with a big screen on which all the lessons were shown and the questions were asked. Now, what he did actually, maybe he made the words larger. Okay, maybe he just changed the size of that font, and now it was all repaired. That wasn't so bad. The part Maggie hated most was the slot where she had to put homework and test papers. Actually, there was a slot in the machine where she was supposed to put the homework and all the test work. Okay. She always had to write them out in a punch code they made her learn when she was 6 years old. And the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in no time. Naturally, because this is machine only, the moment you enter your test, naturally, the next moment only you will be getting your marks also. The inspector had smiled after he was finished and patted Maggie's head. He said to her mother, "It's not the little girl's fault, Mrs. Jones. I think the geography sector was geared a little too quick. Those things happen sometimes." Then he talked to her mother. He said actually it is not Maggie's mistake that if she's not able to do very well in geography. Actually this geography part, there was some maybe technical snag, and because of this snag only, this geography part was going too quick. And that's why maybe Maggie was not able to read the things correctly, and that's why she was not able to answer the things, and that's why she was not getting good marks. And he said that this is not a very big problem. Many times it happens. So nothing new. I have slowed it up to an average 10-year level. And then he said, don't worry. Now I had repaired it and I have slowed the speed also, okay, which can suit Maggie. Actually, the overall pattern of her progress is quite satisfactory. And he patted Maggie's head again. He said, there is no other problem. Okay, now I hope that after this, Maggie won't be having any problem in getting good marks in geography. Maggie was disappointed. Mother is happy, county inspector is happy, but Maggie is not happy. You may get this question. Okay, though everything is now repaired, why Maggie is not happy? She is not happy. Why? She had been hoping that they would take the teacher away altogether. They had once taken Tommy's teacher away for nearly a month because the history sector had blanked out completely. Actually, once the same kind of snag had happened with Tommy's computer also, and what they had done, they had actually taken that history slot. Okay, this county inspector might have taken this history slot with him, and he kept it with him for 1 full month. Maybe he did not get time or whatever. Okay, and this time she was hoping that this county inspector would take this geography slot also with him and would be keeping maybe for 1 month, and then she will be very happy that during this month she won't be having any geography class. But no, it was not so, because it was repaired within 1 hour and now she will have to attend all the geography classes. So she said to Tommy, why would anyone write about school? And that's why. Now from here we got this answer that why she hated school. And that's why when Tommy said this book is about school, that's why this question came. That why anyone is going to write about school? Why should one write about school? Okay, I think we should stop here only in this video. Okay, now when you are watching this video, keep your book and your pen in your hand. Whatever you listen from this video, keep underlining and keep making notes also. Because now you are in class 9th. Class 9th means now you are no more a child. Okay, you are now, big enough to note down these questions, because sometime you will be getting the questions which are not directly, having the answers in the chapter. So read the chapters now thoroughly. Thank you.